one thing that really sticks out over everything, I mean, this is because I have 3 other people to prove it. I don't know, have you met Tyler? Okay, well, Tyler will deny to the hilt that there is any type of spiritual existence, any type of afterlife, any type of paranormal activity.
Etc., etc.
But tell him to go to my dad's house, he'll say, fuck no, that place scares me. Because he's experienced, like, everything paranormal he's experienced there. And me, him, and my friends Mike and Josh Green were there, and we were just kind of like hanging out like we usually do in the living room. My dad wasn't home this night, so we heard like something going on in the basement. It sounded like things falling. And when we went down into the basement, I mean, like, this was the time when my basement was neatly organized. Boxes were stacked to the ceiling. You know, there was nothing really blocking the floor. You know, there were clear paths, except that, you know, the boxes on the pool table as soon as you walked down were stacked so that, you know, it was like a pillar. You know, so I mean, you couldn't really see past it, but it was like 2 feet away, so you could hear everything going on. So we walked down there, searched the whole basement, and we're like, oh, nothing's askew, nothing's fallen over, and we were all standing ready to go upstairs, and it sounded like one of the bookshelves just fell onto the pillar boxes, and we're like, what the hell? So we go back, check it out, nothing. And then we hear, like, just some noises coming from the closet that's behind the bar. So we go and check that out. I open the door, and then I turn on the light. The light was red. There was a red light bulb, and it was shining red. And Tyler's like, is that light bulb red? And I said, not usually. But are we looking at a red light? And all 3 of them said, yes, we are looking at a red light right now. And I said, that's supposed to be yellow. So we turned it off and got the fuck upstairs. Stayed up for another 5 hours, you know, my dad still wasn't home. We went downstairs and turned on that same light. The light bulb was yellow, and it shone yellow. And we're like, yeah, we gotta get the fuck out of here. So we just kind of left. But other than that, I mean, when I'm home alone, I experience a lot of stuff. Because I remember once, my dad was staying at his ex-fiancée Vicky's house. And I was there one night, and I heard a tapping coming from his room, and his bed sits about, like, this high off the floor, and it was coming from underneath there, and the bed skirt doesn't reach the floor. It, like, doesn't even reach much past the bed frame, so you can pretty much just look under there and just see everything, like, all the way through. And I heard, like, a tapping coming from under it, and I'm like, what the hell? So I go, and, you know, I turn on all the lights on my way there, and I turn on the light in his room, and it just stops. I'm like, okay. So I turn off the light, go back into the living room, and then it starts up again. And I mean, it's like, you know, it's way down a hall, so it's like you can faintly hear it. But it's like annoying enough so that you gotta check it out. So I checked it out a second time, and I'm like, I actually said, what the fuck? And then the tapping started up again, but it was louder and a little bit slower. I'm like, okay, this isn't cool. So I turned off the light, went back into the living room, and now I could hear it clearly. And I knew it was coming from my dad's house, or my dad's room, but it was like loud. And I was like, what the fuck? And it just sounded like someone was pounding their finger into the floor. So then I go in there. I think Puppy farted. Ugh. But I go back in there, and the tapping is just still going on. I'm like, what the fuck? And it got really fast and really, really, really loud. So I turned on all the lights. I called up my mom and I said, Mom, you gotta come pick me up. There's something in this house with me and I don't like it. And she came and picked me up, and I told her what happened, and she's like, yeah, you definitely don't want to be in there, especially if, you know, you're trying to investigate and it got louder and wanted you to know that it was there and didn't care that you knew it was there. And yeah, that whole thing. And then I remember when I used to sleep at my dad's all the time, you know, you walk down the hall, and my room is right here, and there's like a little, you know, opening that goes into the attic, and I do my best to convince myself that this was just like, you know, an animal or whatever, but I used to like look up into that and just like see shadows moving back and forth. And I mean, I didn't hear anything, so I'm assuming that it was a small animal. I don't want to think it was anything else, so I'm going to say it was a small animal. But then I'd shut my door and just kind of like sleep, and everything was fine. But Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot
Spiritual
of
presence.
weird stories like that, but I guess like the thing I'm trying to work up to is at Tabernacle.
The barking spiders.
Me and a bunch of friends decided that it would be cool to go up there and check it out because we heard that Tabernacle is a cemetery that rests on a cliff, and from the edge of the road to the edge of the cliff, it's not even 75 feet. It's a very small cemetery.
Do you remember what street it's on?
No. All I know, there's only one Tabernacle in Wisconsin. So if you find the one in Wisconsin, that's the one.
Obvious.
Well, I'm kind of looking around and
Oh no, actually, I can.
Right now.
If you'd like, actually, tomorrow I can contact Josh Roscoe because he's got the book and everything that we based this off of, our search off of. But so we go to Tabernacle, and in this little book we have, it says that you're supposed to go and turn around so that the cemetery is on your right side. If you keep your car off for a maximum of 2 minutes, you'll see lights coming from the corner of the cemetery. And it's supposed to be like some phantom truck or whatever. And you keep driving until you get into town. And as soon as you get into town, all of a sudden the lights just turn off. And, it stays in your rear view mirror. And, like, when you're turning, it doesn't, like, you know how a car looks when it's turning in your rear view mirror. You see the head, and then it just stays in your rear view mirror. But what we saw when we got there, we passed the sign, and I was disappointed because it said that sometimes you pass the sign and there's supposed to be an apparition just standing there. And I was like, okay, it sucks that we didn't see it. So we pull up, and it's on the right side, and we had been sitting there for 15 minutes, and nothing happened. And me and my friend Josh are on the right side of the vehicle, and we're looking out, and we're like, oh man, what's going on? And then we both noticed something. It was just a figure, just a shape, but you could tell that it was obviously not a tree or a tombstone because it wasn't shaped like either of them. And on top of that, it was out in the middle of the open, like directly in the middle. And it was just kind of swaying in the wind. And what it looked like was just, imagine a human being kind of slumped over with your right shoulder kind of slouching and your left kind of just like at attention, just kind of like holding the left arm off to the side. But it was weird because the right leg was just straight down and it looked shorter than the left leg because the left leg was off at a slant, but it was still touching the ground. And it was just kind of like swaying. It didn't look like it was losing its balance. It looked like it was moving, trying to fit in with, the trees moving in the wind, trying to fit in with its surrounding. And it looked as though it had 2 limbs on its upper body on the right side that were just like hanging limp. And then on the left side, it just kind of like had the one that it was moving in rhythm with its body. And, I couldn't make out any details because this was like, a number of feet away. But me and Josh both saw it, and we're like, oh my god, what is that? What is that? And we were really curious, and we're like, oh man, that's really cool. And all of a sudden, I forget exactly what happened, but Josh said something, and then all of a sudden you just see the left arm go kind of from this to this. It just kind of like stiffened up, and then it just stopped moving. It just jerked. And we're like, oh shit, shit, shit. And me and Josh are telling Steve, the guy driving, to just get the fuck out of there. We're just telling him to go, just go, go, go. And everybody's like, oh my god, what do you guys see, what do you guys see? And me and Josh just have our eyes fixed on this thing. It's not moving, it's not doing anything. But it's like all of a sudden it became aware to our presence. And I don't know if he felt what I felt, but I just felt this just petrifying fright that just, I didn't even realize that I was yelling at Steve to go until like a couple seconds after. I just had this thing focused that, oh my god, does it see us? Is it going to come after us? And I don't know what it was. And I feel really dumb telling people about this because it seems so just out there. People say they hear things or see, apparitions of people, but nothing that isn't like a human form, and what I believe I saw may have been demonic because that particular cemetery is a very high traffic area for cultist activity. And I don't know what I saw. I don't want to know what I saw. I just want to never see it again. Because it's like, I'm always brave enough to face my fears. If something's making noise, you know, I'm the guy that's gonna go into the basement with a flashlight and a baseball bat and probably get chewed up by a werewolf or something, you know. But that thing, I never want to try to find out what it is, and I never want to investigate that again. But Josh said that he went back there, looked in the same place was vacant, nothing was there. And he's still trying to figure it out. We both talk about it sometimes, and it's just like really bugging me more than anything.
Does this look like it?